Hi, everyone, and welcome to Virtual Fabric Show Fall 2024. Thanks so much for tuning in today. My name is Stephanie Sheridan, and I will be your host today. A few things before we get started with our presentations. A reminder that all of these collections that you're seeing here today are from our summer and fall 2024 release. They will be in stores, some of them later this year. Most of them won't be in stores until sometime next year. So keep that in mind, that this is just a preview, a sneak peek, if you will, of what's coming. But you'll be able to see all of the information about these collections as well as any of our collections on our website, which is benartex.com. During the presentations, if you have any questions for our designers, please pop them in the Q&A box. You'll see it down below on the bottom of your screen. At the end of the session today, I will read those questions aloud and all of the designers will have a chance to answer them. Oh, some of you found the React button. That is new this year with Zoom. So please feel free to use the React button as you see fit during our presentations. It's been fun to see all of the hearts and thumbs up and the ta-das coming during the presentations. Also, please feel free to use the chat to say hello, let us know where you're from. And lastly, if you have a collection that you absolutely fall in love with today, which I am 100% sure everyone will fall in love with at least one of these collections, if not all of them, you can ask for your local quilt shop to carry these fabrics. They can order them through their sales rep, online on our website, or through their favorite distributor, which we have many distributors worldwide. So with that being said, it is time to start the show. Let me switch my page on my script here. Okay. So we're going to start this session with designer Rachel Rossi, and she is sharing her second fabric collection with us today. Modern Vintage Treasured is a mix of treasured past and new decor with a modern muted palette and motifs that bridge vintage design and contemporary artistic styles. So welcome, Rachel.
Hi, I am so excited to be here today and share my newest line with you. We're just shipping out my first line, Bee Haven, in the next month, so I'm excited about that. Now I get to be excited about this too. So thank you all for joining us today. So I want to talk a little bit about fabric and then I'll show it off so you can kind of see the color palette back here behind me. And I want to start by talking about the fabric itself. So just like my last line, this fabric is printed on unbleached cotton and it is Oeko-Tex Standard 100 certified, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about later. But just so you know, it's full of that goodness just like last time. The name of this line is called Modern Vintage Treasured, and I want to tell you a little bit about the name because it'll tell you about the line itself. So modern vintage kind of goes with the idea that everything old is new again. I've always loved vintage stuff, antiquing. I just can't help but wonder what the stories are of these treasures that I find in antique shops and thrift shops. And so like I was just made for this line. And I wanted to create something that just reminded you of like these treasures that we hold in our homes. So the whole line was inspired by vintage like milk glass vases or hobnail vases, depending what you call it, and poppies, which are a flower that's more about remembering and like special moments. And so that's kind of where the name Modern Vintage comes from. And treasured is just kind of like what I was just saying, where we treasure these vessels. They've been maybe passed down from generation to generation, and they're these quiet witnesses to all of our days, big days like first dates, weddings, or I'm sorries, and even the small days with just little simple posies from outside. But somewhere along the journey, these pieces become treasured. So I wanted to honor these pieces in our homes through this collection. So now that you kind of know about the line, I'm really excited to show you more. So we're going to run a video where I get to actually show you each piece, and you get to see it before everybody else. This line has so many great prints, and we're going to start here with our border print called Treasured Poppy Stripe, because this is kind of what the whole line is based off of. You'll see here in a minute what I mean, but let's get started by checking out all these cute little vessels. These are the types of things that are probably in a cabinet high up in your house or your grandmother's house. All these sweet milk glass and hobnail and etched glass, all the kinds of vases that you would find in your home or in the home of someone you love. We've got a really vibrant orange and a kind of burnt orange red in these poppies to really just pop off of this really neutral color scheme that we've started with. Now I'm going to start by showing you kind of our red and blue complements in this line. This is a really nice dark terracotta, and this is our kind of aqua teal blue. I incorporated blue in this line as complementary colors because they just bounce off of each other so nicely, and these deep colors really pull out that dark red. These are also going to be available in black and tan, and I'll show you those in just a minute. Next, we've got kind of a medium dark. These prints are called Daisy Doily because they look just like a sweet doily that you would put under a vase, like one of the ones in this collection. This will also be in a kind of charcoal and tan, which you'll see in a couple minutes. Next up, we have Chisel, which is a kind of call out to the more etched glass look that you get on some vases. So we have it in kind of this medium light version of blue and red, and then also the tan and black you'll see in a minute. And you'll notice that this print matches the vase in our border print, which actually all of these complementary prints do. This one's just kind of the most obvious. And now that you know how I designed this, you'll see here in our hobnail print a call out to this little border as well as this hobnail vase. There are so many great prints to show off in this collection, but I want to take a quick breather here and show you my first project that I created with this line. This pattern is called Deco Bloom, and it's made entirely of quarter circles. I'll be offering a free pattern in the baby size, and then if you want more detailed instructions or more size options, there will be a paid version as well. So now that I've kind of shown you all of our happy colors, I'm going to show you our more neutral toned down pieces in this collection because I think altogether it just makes a beautiful picture. This is called Loopy Lace, and I just love this print because it's technically a stripe, but really you could use it as a border, you can use it as a stripe, you can chop it up and crop it. Honestly, I just can't wait to make a shirt or a dress out of this, I'm going to be honest. So this comes in a red, that kind of terracotta red, the aqua blue, and then a really subtle charcoal and tan. I'm really excited to use this in my trellis twist pattern as an extra border. So I originally designed this pattern as a fat quarter friendly pattern, so you can fit all of your favorite prints from this collection in. And we're just going to add on another border so that we get to use that delicious loopy lace. Now for a fabric line based on vases full of flowers, I really haven't shown you any florals. So here is Treasured Poppies. This has a really nice neutral background with these bright orange and red orange pops. And you'll be happy to know that this lovely neutral lady has a really wild sister in aqua. So these two prints are really changing the scale of the line. They're nice and large, they're really vibrant, and just a really nice addition. Here are some of the more neutral colors that I promised you. Now, everything that you see here in the blue and red is also going to be available in this nice deep charcoal to black. And if you're not into black and charcoal, that's okay. We've got tans and browns. So I don't have all of the fabrics with me right now, but again, everything that you see in the blue and the red is also available in the neutral colors as well. Now, if you're loving just mixing up all these neutrals and all these flowers, you're going to love my Poppy Patch quilt. This is a really simple quilt where we're going to just use those 5x5 pre-cuts and do a little mitered border with our border print, and then applique on these gorgeous giant poppies. If that wasn't enough prints for you and you just needed a couple more flowers, we've got this adorable all over print that's scaled down compared to our large border print. And we just have it in these two really nice neutrals. We've got the light tan and kind of this dark taupe color that just really shows off these beautiful little poppies and adds in a little more green foliage. This last quilt that I want to show you all is called Tiny Dancer. This is a pattern that I will be re-releasing to use these fabrics. And honestly, this collection is just begging to be fussy cut. So I did my favorite fussy cut pattern with it. So Tiny Dancer will feature all of the great vases from the Treasured Poppy stripe, and then you can use your favorite colors. You could use blues or reds or grays or taupes, whatever your favorite is for those large diamonds. Mix it up and show off your favorite parts of this collection. Last but not least, our wide back. You guys really seemed to love the neutral wide back that I offered with my Bee Haven line. So we're offering another really nice neutral. This is that chisel print that you saw smaller in our blues and reds. And it just has a really nice little freckle to it. It feels really natural and soft. It's not like a crunchy wide back that you might be thinking of. So this will look really beautiful no matter how you finish your modern vintage quilt, or really any quilt. This would really lend itself nicely to. I'm also really excited that this is my second line printed on unbleached cotton, which makes it feel so soft and so thick. It's amazing how skipping this one chemical process has really made the fabric feel completely different than any other cotton I've really felt in a long time. Not only does it feel great, it's better for the earth and it's better for you. It is also certified non-toxic with the Okiotech Standard 100 certification. Now, I can't possibly wait until summer 2025 to see what you guys make with this. So if you're feeling a little antsy and love this collection, make sure to check out my Bee Haven collection, which is starting to ship to stores now, and make something beautiful. This
All right, back to you, Rachel. Was there anything else you wanted to say about the collection before we move on?
No, that about covers it. It was really fun to watch all the comments. It seems like everyone else is as excited as me. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what the other designers have for us this afternoon.
Thank you so much. All right, so next up we have designer Amanda Murphy, who has just returned from teaching in Australia and New Zealand, I believe. And she is here to
Yes.
show you to show you her Cityscape collection with 2 colorways, day and night, and 3
Yes.
different endless panels. These fabrics are full of dynamic design and energetic movement, much like Amanda Murphy herself. So Amanda's got a PowerPoint to show us, and then when she finishes that, we can show a quick video of the collection as well.
Okay, so yes, Cityscape. It started all with curves. This is a collection. I don't know if we talked about it. I believe it's shipping December, January, right? Is that right, Stephanie?
I believe so, yes.
So this, what you're seeing right here is the nighttime version of this collection. So, and this is just an assortment of quilts plus one of the panels. And it all kind of started with curves, thinking about quilting curves. I'm the spokesperson for the Bernina Q series. So I do a lot of quilting and I do a lot of talking about, why I quilt, what motifs I do in what places. And so a lot of times I'll do educational panels. So the thing you see on the left there is one of the educational panels I will get into. So the nighttime is kind of, it's slightly more muted than I normally do, but it's still fairly bright. And here's the nighttime palette. So you have two city palettes. And when I was developing these, I thought about the New York beauty block. And I thought about how that looks modern and traditional at the same time. And I juxtaposed that behind the city. So I was kind of playing with the scale and the angular lines of both the cityscape and the New York beauty and other blocks in the round. And that's where the blueprint development came in. I was also playing just with the sparkling lights of a city. So you can see in the city print, I have that kind of sparkling city behind there. And I was bringing that into the kind of wagon wheel type motifs you see. And of course, the stars. And then the tiny, tiny city, the little dots, which are lights as well, which is a great blender for the collection. It, of course, coordinates with cotton shot. And you can see some of the cotton shot colors it coordinates with the bottom middle. So on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have Cityscape in the daytime colorway. So same prints, kind of a different feel to this one. It's all like bubbles and light and sparkles and happiness, just in terms of its colors. And again, you see the cotton shot coordinates. There are two wide backs for this collection. So the one is meant to go with the day fabrics, the lighter one, and then the dark one goes with the night fabrics, but you could really use them on any quilt. So I just enlarged and redid the repeat for that blueprint quilt. And Jessica, my art director at Benartex, did a magnificent job. As always, Jessica's my favorite. So these are the three panels for Cityscape Night. So these are continuous panels, meaning there's no division between the panels. Each is a 24-inch repeat, but there's no line that divides the panels. And they were meant to really encourage experimentation with quilting, whether it be with rulers or computerized quilting in a hoop or on a long arm like the Bernina Q Series Q-matic. Any of those things. And for that reason, I left some of the areas with solids because I really wanted to leave space for the quilting. And this is kind of the heart of the collection, this educational aspect to it, but you can make many things with these panels. And that's the daytime version of the panels. So because I was doing those panels, I do a well-known line of quilting rulers for Brewer, and a lot of times that's how people know me is through the quilting rulers or templates. And so you see these large New York beauties, and I've been wanting to do semicircle templates for some time. So I did a range of templates that goes all the way from 1.5 inches to 17 inches to help you quilt those New York beauty blocks. So these were the new templates this year. These are already shipping in advance in the fabric, so people can really be ready for them. They come in 6 millimeters thick. And then I had new marking tools, and you can see this is all, about these kind of medallion type of motifs you want to quilt. So this is good for placing embroidery or for doing quilting motifs in a circular fashion, like a medallion. Okay, so back to fabric. This is Union Square. It is pieced. You can see the pieces of the panels here. It is pieced almost entirely from panels. The only real piecing you have is the big flying geese. So it goes together in a heartbeat. That's what's going to be behind me when I show, when I don't know if they can see my face right now. So, but you'll see one of those behind me. I'm looking forward to custom quilting a different one of those with the New York beauty in the center. So you cut up the panels and you do them. This summit quilt is a foundation piece pattern, but the blocks are 8 inches tall. So they're quite large. It's a really easy foundation piece pattern. It goes together pretty quickly because the blocks are so large. But what I'm excited about here is quilting those same pieced patterns, excuse me, in the blank areas, in the cotton shot area or in the navy lights area on the other quilt. Excuse me. It'll be quite nice. So this is Zenith. It's a basic half square triangle quilt with an insert in it that has a lot of dimension. And likewise, I wanted to quilt out the same, into the unquilt or the unpieced area at the top where you just see the strips. I want to extend that quilting out. I'm in the midst of quilting all these right now, so they are on my mind. Yes, the quilting templates. I see a question coming in. All my quilting templates, they come in long arm thickness. That is good for all Berninas, but some other machines can use them as well. Yes, there will be video tutorials for the templates, but I haven't made them yet. I wrote the written instructions. I haven't made them. Okay, let's see. This is Metro. This was super fun to put together. Every once in a while, a quilt just totally surprises you on how fun it was to put together. This one, this is from strip set, so it went together in no time. I am going to custom quilt this starting today. So I need it for Quilt Market. So I have to do that really fast for you, Maria and Stephanie at Benertex. Let's see. So that's Metro. These are some lovely images that Benertex provided me with. Just lifestyle images of the quilts in space. I don't have space to hang up my quilts. I was enjoying seeing these, so I thought I'd show you guys as well. Over here, this is an applique pattern. This will take me no time at all. It's still not pieced. Everyone knows it's going to take me a fair amount of time. It's a wall hanging or a bench pillow. So this is something I've written and I still have to make because I've been away for so long. But this is going to be really fun. So I'm looking forward to this. This is some coordinating product and the colors look off here. They don't in the real version. But these are some products I did for Brewer, which is Benertex's sister company, that go with Cityscape. And what's neat about those water bottles is it's a textured print that kind of mimics those lights. So that's fun. This is one more pattern I added for Bernina's new belt loop folder for their line of sergers. So this is a serger pattern. I'm going to talk more about serger patterns in a minute. So that kind of gives you a feel for the Cityscape line, whether it's day or night. If you are interested, please ask your local shop to carry it. So did someone say serger, right? This side says, and I know Bernina's going to have a little presentation at the end talking about sergers, but I wanted to show you some of the new lines of serger patterns, and they feature my 42 new colors of cotton shot. So these are slightly more muted than my original colors. They go great with traditional, modern, or home deck. They really have been fun to play with for me. Now, these patterns I'm going to show you next are out, whereas the other patterns are coming probably end of December, early January, depending on how quick my printer is. But this is the crisscross pillow, and this is something you piece on a serger, and then from the back you chain stitch some decorative stitches. So you kind of create a pattern on top of a pattern just using threads. And this was my L890, but you can do this with serger that has cover stitch capabilities. So that's this. It's a cover stitch and a chain stitch from the back, and it's the cotton shot line. And then this is my wonky runner, also cotton shot line. And you can see decorative stitching, same stitches from in the borders here. This is really fun though, because if you piece this on a serger, as you piece, you trim off that excess fabric, that wonky fabric. So then this is a Serge Forest table runner and placemats. This was computer generated image, but I thought I'd show you the actual quilting. What you can see here, this is chain stitch from the wrong side of the fabric for the trees, but then I used exposed like sparkly white threads. The color isn't great here, but I used the exposed seams on the edge of the trees to add sparkle. So that's an overlock stitch on an edge with those exposed threads. And then I ran the chain stitches in different patterns. These were really fun to do. And then this is a sky tower. This is my quilt that uses flat lock stitches, super, super easy. So those exposed threads, they're actually variegated and they are flat lock stitches. So this is all just started shipping like a month ago. This is me recoloring things to go with the Bernina 990 and their palette of purple and blue. So I just thought I'd show you guys that. So let me get out of here. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to show you one more thing, if I might, for anyone out there who is looking for kits of moonlit forest and their dealer doesn't have anymore. After a very belated time period, I have them on my website now. So I thought I'd mention that if you've been looking for this sampler quilt, which people have been writing me, when's it available? When's it available? Well, it's finally available because I got back from teaching. And so that's on my website. I think that's it.
Wow, you packed a lot in a very short period of time. Great job. So are you still jet lagged? Are you still working through jet lag?
I have no idea what time it is in my body. I wanted to go to bed last night. I was so tired, but my body thought it was daytime. I'm so confused. So yeah, it's like I haven't quite gotten there yet, but I will. It was lovely to see all those quilters in New Zealand and Australia. So.
Fantastic. All right, so we're going to quickly show the Cityscape video that we did for you so that everyone can see all the fabrics, and then we'll move on to our next presenter.
Very nice.
So now everybody got to see the fabrics all close up. All right, so now we'll move on to our next presenter, who is Krista Watson, who is here with Dazzle Dots 2. You guys asked for more dots and you got it, this time in soft pastels. First, we're going to take a quick look at the fabrics, and then Krista will share more information about this collection and the projects as well.
Awesome. Okay. Let me see. First of all, can you guys see me? Am I on the screen? I never know. Okay, cool. So I'm really excited. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Krista Watson, and I have been designing fabric with Benetech since 2017. And Dazzle Dots 2 is actually going to be my 10th collection, which is super exciting. And I just have to give a quick shout out to Benetech. They have been fabulous to work with. All of the designers that I've gotten to know have been amazing. We all support each other. And when we have these presentations, it's just as much fun for us designers to see what everybody else is working on, because we don't know what they're working on until you guys get to see it. And it's really fun because if you're like me, sometimes you like to mix and match with different fabrics. And it's really kind of cool how some of us really like our fabrics work together, even if they're different genres. So anyway, I am going to go ahead and take a second and make sure I can share my screen. That's always the tricky part. And then I will get into my presentation showing you more about Dazzle Dots 2. So let me just click a couple of buttons here, click share. Okay, as long as everybody's got it, then we're good to go. So fun little behind the scenes about how Dazzle Dots and then Dazzle Dots 2 came about, because I know you guys like to see all the secret behind the scene things. So when I do normally about 1 or 2 lines a year. And like I said, Dazzle Dots 2 is collection number 10. A couple, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, I was working on an idea with Benetech, and the dots were one of the designs in the larger collection. And the way that I work with Benetech is we get our ideas, we talk about it, they present them to the people at Benetech, and they'll say, yay, nay, or maybe let's play around with it. Well, the marketing people came back and they said, you know what? We really like the dot print from this collection that you are working on. What if we just focus on that? Because people really like dots. I mean, I know I love dots too. And I said, sure, no problem. I'm pretty easygoing. And when somebody has an idea, I try to say yes as much as possible. And so what started off in one direction totally turned into the dots as their own standalone collection, which came out last year, Dazzle Dots. And it was a collection of 22 prints, which I'll kind of get ahead of myself to show you the original versus the new. And so what was super exciting is when I presented at Quilt Market last year with Benetech, people just went crazy. And it was at Quilt Market last year that they talked to me and they said, you know, you're going to need to do Dazzle Dots 2. And I said, yes, I know. Within just a couple of days of Dazzle Dots being debuted at Market last year, we already knew that we'd have to do Dazzle Dots 2. And so basically what I did is the first collection, Dazzle Dots, which is still in shops now and will continue to be produced for a while. It was very, very bright rainbowy colors. And so with Dazzle Dots 2, what I wanted to do is basically fill in the spectrum with softer, lighter pastel colors. But as you can see, they both work together wonderfully. And when I'm done with my little slideshow, I'll talk more about the quilt that's behind me. So going back to Dazzle Dots 2, just so you can kind of see them in all of their glory, it's 20 SKUs. There are 10 of the circles and 10 of the squares, and I've done them at kind of in pairs. So you can see there's little pairs of grays and tans. That's a new one for me. I have been trying to figure out how to work in some more neutrals with my lines. So I'm normally a bright rainbow gal, but I thought I really need to have a couple tans in there, some lilacs, periwinkles, blues, teals, greens, yellows, orangey pinks, and peaches. And again, for those of you that have the current Dazzle Dots, this will really work in nicely, even if you want to do a gradation. So again, here's the 20 colors, 10 of the dots and 10 of the squares. And, you know, they're all dots, square dots, round dots. They're really fun. The confetti dots are the circles. And then in the original Dazzle Dots, the squares were called, now I can't even think of the name of it. They had a slightly different name, but the original Dazzle Dot squares they only had like 2 colors, the background and 1 color. And with the new Dazzle Dots 2, I wanted to add a little bit more sparkle. So I added in most of them a little bit more color to them. So we renamed it as Dazzling Squares. But whether you call them dots or squares or whatever you want to call them, they're really fun and they really work together nicely. Again, they work together both with the Dazzle Dots original and the Dazzle Dots 2. And here's kind of another fun behind the scenes. When we were working on what to name it, I mean, duh, Dazzle Dots 2, I asked the marketing people, I said, should we call it Dazzle Dots 2 or should we call it more Dazzle Dots? And they said, oh no, you want to keep it Dazzle Dots 2 so that when you have Dazzle Dots 1 and Dazzle Dots 2, they come up together alphabetically. And because it's earlier in the alphabet, like D is an earlier letter in the alphabet rather than more Dazzle Dots M, it'll show up earlier in search as well. So I thought, oh, these guys are so smart, you know, and so it's kind of fun when you think about it. So the next time you see somebody maybe having a collection and they call it like aardvarks and anteaters, you know, or AAA something, you'll know they're doing that on purpose. But anyway, I just like to share some behind the scenes with you guys. So the Dazzle Dots 2 is going to come in all of the regular pre-cuts, which I love. You can get the fat quarter bundle of all 20. You can get the 5x5 inch squares, the 10x10 inch squares, and of course the strippies or strip pies, whatever you want to call them, the 2.5 inch strips, which are fantastic. So let me just quickly go over the patterns. You kind of saw this a little bit in the intro. A lot of these patterns are patterns that I had done previously with earlier fabric collections that have either gone out of print or people have forgotten about them that I kind of refreshed with Dazzle Dots, because I'm the type of person, a lot of times if I hit on a good idea, I like to make it in lots of different ways. And what's fabulous about this beaded lanterns, this is free. And if you guys just take your little phone and you do a little scan on my little QR code, that's all fancy, that'll take you to my free patterns page where I have like 6 or 7 different free patterns that you can download. For the shops, it's going to be easy to kit for anybody to make. It's basically one strip bundle, one strippy, and then 4 yards of background. And the coolest thing about Dazzle Dots 2 is even though it's a very light, low volumey, kind of softer colors, there's still going to be that depth and color range within the collection. So you've got this very, very light, tealy, bluey, icy color. You've got the light tan, you've got the white. And so you can pair any of those backgrounds with a lot of these fabrics and you can still get that contrast. And here's kind of my color theory, you know, in 5 seconds that I like to tell people. If you're not sure if the fabric's going to work together, take all the fabrics that you like and then pair them up with a super, super dark fabric or a super, super light. Now in the original Dazzle Dots, I had a couple of super, super dark fabrics and now I have a couple of super, super light fabrics so they can kind of mix together. And then whenever I design a pattern such as this one that's going to be using pre-cut strips or, you know, squares or anything like that, I will make sure that whatever background fabric you're using, you can take that strip or that square out of the bundle and you'll still have enough. And so I do that on purpose so that no matter what background fabric you pair it up with, you're not going to have a hole in your quilt. And so if you look closely, you can see that the one like the tan background that's going to be kitted, that doesn't have a tan block. And then like but it has like the white in it. But then the white background one, you know, doesn't have white as a block since it's being used as a background. So Benartex is going to kit the tan colorway, but you can very easily make this quilt. You grab the free pattern, you grab a strip roll, some background, and you're good to go. So that's kind of a super fun pattern that everybody loves. This next one, Surplus Strips. I originally made it in my second fabric collection that came out years and years ago. And now that I'm on number 10, I wanted to re-release it. So this is going to be a re-release that's going to show how you can use the Dazzle Dots 2, again, all by themselves, and you're still going to get that contrast. I really like the idea of these surplus strips. So again, one strip roll, 4 yards of background, and you're good to go. And that'll also include the binding. And then with this one, you've got, it's kind of like pastel. Maybe this would look good as a baby quilt, the very, very soft white background or one of the gray backgrounds. Again, those backgrounds will be going to be very versatile and it's a softer color rather than the original, but the pattern itself will show you, okay, if you want to just do it all in one colorway, you can make it really scrappy or you can use all of one fabric collection. And it's really, really cool. I put up there for those that are shop owners that want to contact me about wholesale pattern information, you can. I also have a website where you can purchase these from me once it's out. I always say go to your local fabric shop first, but if you don't have one nearby, you can always come visit me on my website as well. For those of you, anybody that's going to be at Quilt Market, I'm actually making both of these versions of the Surplus Strips quilt right now. They're actually under my machine. They're getting shipped off to Quilt Market in time for that in a couple weeks. So if you're there, you can, you know, touch and fondle it and see what that looks like in person. Another pattern that I am redoing is called Blockchain. Again, originally came out with my Gridwork fabric line a few years ago, but look how similar it is. It's a softer version of it, but this just goes to show that many patterns, they're not necessarily fabric dependent. This pattern blockchain works great with a 5-inch square. If you wanted to make it bigger, you could use a 10-inch square. You could cut up the 10-inch squares. There's lots of different sizes you could make it. But the secret, or what works with this design, is again, you take all of your fabrics that you like, your rainbow colors, your soft pastels, scrappies, whatever you want, and then you pair it up with a dark and light contrast. So in this instance, the dark charcoal and then the light gray of Dazzle Dots, my original Dazzle Dots, I paired them up with a 5-inch bundle. So this one actually uses both collection, but again, you could just substitute that for black, white, gray, whatever contrasting fabrics. You could go crazy. You could do a red or a lime green to have that contrast. Anything with contrast is going to look really good. The next pattern I'm showing you, this one I'm really excited. This is Bling. This is another one of those quilts I probably made about 5 or 6 different times, and it has about 6 different layouts. There's 2 different layouts on the cover of the original pattern, and then there's another layout, which this layout is included in the pattern, but it's not shown in these colors, of course, because I recolored this. So this is again an idea where I'm taking both Dazzle Dots 1 and Dazzle Dots 2, 1 fat quarter bundle of each one to make this quilt. And of course it comes in different sizes, but notice how those soft Dazzle Dots 2 kind of recede and they make wonderful backgrounds against your darker, more saturated. So that's the beauty of both these collections. Dazzle Dots 1 that's currently available is very bright and bold. Dazzle Dots 2 is softer. Dazzle Dots 2 on its own looks great and very soft and pretty, but then if you want that contrast, that little bold pop of color, you just combine it with some more dark or saturated. So I love when my collections can both work together at the same time. This one is also another combination where the quilt on the right is shown with the Dazzle Dots 2 forming those chevrons with just any dark background. And then the quilt on the left is again that combination of Dazzle Dots 1 and 2, and then you can see the original pattern cover. The nice thing about my patterns is that it's really easy to swap out fabrics. Normally they're just light and dark and scrappy, and so you don't have to think about them too much to have success with them. This is another one that is on my to-do list. This is called Lattice Work. Again, it was a little bolder and darker in an earlier fabric collection, a little bit softer with the Dazzle Dots 1 and 2, Dazzle Dots 2 being the 5-inch squares or 10-inch squares as the main part of the design, and then the original Dazzle Dots in the light and the dark gray. So here's another secret I've kind of said a couple times. Whenever I design these fabrics, I'm really designing them for me. Every collection that I do is just adding to my stash. So I look at all 10 fabric collections I've done as one continuum. And whenever I say, oh, what colors am I missing out of my stash? I add them in. And so by the time I got to collection 10, I realized I really needed softer pastel colors that are still going to look good with any of my other Dazzle Dots or any other bright fabrics if you're into that like I am. Here is just kind of a quick summary of all of my current patterns that are in stock. Again, I sell these as print versions, PDF versions. You can also ask your local quilt shop to get them. And even though I've used my fabrics for all of them and mixed them up, you can of course use any fabrics that you like. If there's anybody that wants pictures of these or shops out there, you can just send me a quick email and I'm happy to share that with you. So let me stop sharing really quickly. Just see if there's any quick questions. I know we'll come back to that, but now, am I on the screen again? I just want to give me a thumbs up. Yeah. So now I do want to just show you what it looks like in person. I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen. This is my beautiful bundle of the Dazzle Dots 2, and aren't they pretty, all tied up in a ribbon? But again, you can just really see that really pretty soft pastel color when they're all kind of together. And it's a bundle of 20, which is just a really nice, yummy bundle. Now for the quilt behind me, I'm actually working on this one right now as we speak, just for fun. So this is my color weave pattern, again, originally made from one of my earlier fabric lines, and I have been dying to remake this quilt. And so the one on the wall right now is actually using original Dazzle Dots, and I'm just making this one for fun, and I'm sharing a quilt along with it. You can get the pattern from me or from a quilt shop. And the coolest thing about that is that when I made this quilt, Benartex went ahead and released, these are strippies of that dark gray and the light gray. So you can get these at your local quilt shop. You can get them from me. Quilt shop owners can order these, all the dark gray, all the light gray, and these are used in that pattern as well as any other strip roll pattern you can think of. And then of course, here are the Dazzle Dot strippies original. So just look how pretty those Dazzle Dot strippies look with the Dazzle Dots too. And when you put them together, it gives a really nice contrast of the light and the dark. So again, Dazzle Dots 2 coming out in February, current Dazzle Dots out now and will be reprinted as long as people are loving it. So anyway, that's kind of me in a nutshell. As we go through the presentation, I'm gonna in the chat go ahead and type in my website. I know everybody's been asking about designer websites, and feel free to contact me, you guys, anytime. I'm an open book and I'm happy to help in any way I can. So thanks.
Thanks, Krista. Okay, so with that presentation over, we're going to take a quick break. During the break, for each of you that are attending live, we want to ask you to answer this question. We're going to pop a poll up on your screen. It is for the people that are here live with us on Zoom. And if you answer the question, you will be entered into a chance to win a fabulous fabric prize. In the past, we've only done one prize per session. And you guys asked if we could do more prizes, and we said absolutely. Just like Krista, we like to say yes. So we are going to give away 4 different pre-cut bundles as prizes if you answer our question here on Zoom. All right, we'll give that, okay, we'll move on. So next up, we have a short video by our friend Pam Massey at Bernina. Pam will be sharing with you the joys of quilting with a serger.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Quilt Street. Today we're going to share with you the Teach Me How to Quilt with a Serger. I'm Pam Massey, and I'm the Overlock Business Manager for Bernina. Now, when you think about sergers, you might be a little intimidated. You might be a little afraid, and you might say, I'm a quilter. Why do I even need to use a serger when I'm perfectly happy and fine with piecing and quilting on my sewing machine or even with my long arm? We're going to share with you some new stitches, some different ways of putting your project together, and some really fun ways that when you are sewing with your serger, you're not able to do that even on your sewing machine. So sergers have been around for well over 50 years. And as a quilter, you may have shied away from quilting with your serger or piecing. But as we start today and we go through the ways that sergers are going to help you and even make your life a little bit simpler and easier to put your pieces together, you're going to really become excited and want to explore this factor even more. Now, you might be wondering, how can I get a serger to make a 1/4 of an inch stitch? If you have an older serger, it may not do a 1/4 of an inch stitch. But as you can see, today we're going to be working with, or in this series, we're going to work with the Bernina L890 serger. And here it looks like a sewing machine, so it's going to be very comfortable for you to work with. And I always ask quilters that I meet with, how would you like to have a machine that never runs out of bobbin thread? And here we have that opportunity. So quilters like speed and they like accuracy. And there are a couple of myths that I'd like to dispel. One of them is that your stitches are going to be too bulky. Well, here we have a quilt, and this is a flannel quilt. And when you run your hand over it, the stitches are not any heavier on using the serger than they are with your sewing machine. And actually, it can be a little bit less bulky when you use the proper stitch. Also, when you work with the serger stitches, You might think that a serger always and only will cut and finish the edge of your stitches or the edge of your fabric. But with the other stitches that we have available to us, being a chain stitch, you're going to see that you'll be able to get exactly the same kind of stitch that you would have on your sewing machine. It looks exactly the same. You can press your seam allowances open and nest your seams even easier than you can with your sewing machine. Now, I also take a look at serger quilting, and I step back and think about what it was like when quilters that did everything by hand, and some of you may still do things by hand, and I applaud you for that. But as we build and as we have less and less time in our day to do what we love to do, a serger is going to be that product and that machine that is going to really help us speed up our process. So as we look at moving into using our serger, that speed, as I mentioned, is going to be a factor. The accuracy, which is something that all of us as quilters are wanting to maintain because we need and want to have our blocks line up specifically in those areas. And a serger can do exactly that same thing. So now as we take a look at using our serger, the speed that we have, the accuracy that we have, and the way that we're going to be able to use some of these features on the machine are going to help you in your quilting journey. So as we take a look then at our machine itself, and many of you are fearful of using sergers because they have all of these threads on them, but the Bernina sergers are going to really give you the information right here on the screen. It has a guided mode, which is going to lead you through and hold your hand step by step through the changes and making of the changes. If you have an embroidery machine, you're going to be very familiar with how you move from sewing to embroidery, and that's exactly the same thing with our sergers now. It is so very easy to move from one stitch to another without having to rethread or play mental gymnastics when you're going to be putting different stitches on your machine. So with these stitches and with these features that the machine has, you'll also notice that you have this wide open space that's on the machine also. That's going to help you when you're going to roll up products or you're going to be stitching in the middle of your quilts for doing the actual quilting, because you can do that with your serger also. It isn't something that we're saying you have to do all the time. It is another option that we're going to be giving to you that's going to certainly open up a different world and a different opportunity and really kind of get your creative juices flowing, and your friends are going to be looking at you and saying, how did you do that? What kind of stitches did you use? And they're going to start asking the questions of you. So as we go through this journey together, I am so excited to be able to share with you the opportunities of using sergers to your advantage and to be able to create new and different ways of using your machines. Come with me on this journey, and I'm so excited we can share this path together.
And if you'd like more information about quilting with sergers, you can visit the Bernina website and the Bernina blog. So with that being said, we're going to close out our show with a very exciting new fabric collection to share with you. Just in time for the 50th anniversary of her namesake brand, April Cornell returns to the quilting world with a line that captures the essence of spring. First, we're going to take a short look at the fabrics, and then we'll have a chat with April about them. So thanks so much for joining us today, April. Can you first start off by telling viewers a little bit about yourself and the 50th anniversary of April Cornell?
Sorry, my phone just started ringing. My husband. Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yep, can everyone hear April? Okay, we've got thumbs up.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. Life goes on, right? Especially technology, it just keeps going. Okay, a little bit about myself. Well, 50 years later, I'm still in love with flowers. And I think textiles is I don't know, it's my way of communication with the world and with my customers and other women. And I just, more and more, I feel the power of what textiles communicate and how ancient it is and how personal it is and how woman bound it is. And I think, you know, from me to you, that's how I guess that's how I say hello. That's how I honor both myself, the places I've traveled, the people I've worked with, the things I've seen, the garden, the flower, the sky, the beauty of Provence, the ancient silk route to Afghanistan. Textiles has been my way to communicate what I've seen, what I love, and my appreciation really for women and for this ancient world that we're a part of. There's a lot of layers. In 50 years, there's a lot of layers, right? So there's, you know, my original journey, which some of you might know or might not know, was through Afghanistan. And the nomadic women there were beautifully dressed in these gorgeous Russian chintzes, which were really the first time I'd been exposed to those kind of florals. And they really impacted me. And, you know, even today, we're still looking back into the past and finding fabrics like that. And how women have been so able to make a statement about themselves and their lives through textiles. So this collection, which is about the garden, really refers to that sense of beauty, joy, color, home. Just really the joyful embrace and love that nature gives us, that we can gain from a garden and bring it inside to our home. I just find it super personal. I love the colors that have been selected, the bright pinks and the yellows and the blues. I'm a big fan of blue. Always have loved blue. I love also the tonal combinations of one blue on another blue on another blue. I love the blue when you add the yellow and you get Provence.
So would you say that textiles are your love language?
I guess I would. And probably most of the people here as well. You know, that's why we're
Absolutely.
together, right?
Absolutely. So the inspiration for April's garden came from the florals and from the history of textiles, correct?
Correct. Correct. And when I think of, you know, some of the colors, blues in particular, think of Nova Scotia, which is where my family was from. I think of Cape Cod, with all its layers of blue. I think of the, you know, like all of these places where blues sort of penetrate into us. I just feel very, I don't know, I like this stuff.
I think everyone likes your stuff as well.
Well, it's wonderful to be back and in this market, in the quilt market, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I love the people on your whole panel here, the other designers. It's been wonderful to hear their stories and their vision.
That's one of the great parts about these virtual fabric shows is not just seeing the beautiful fabrics, but learning the stories behind the collections and how they came to be, and seeing all the different things that people can do with them. So I know we talked earlier and you mentioned you do have a favorite print in the collection. I happen to have it sitting here in front of me, and you also have some of it as well. Do you
Yes,
want to
I-
share that print and talk about it a little bit?
Well, actually, it's, like, it's like being a mother and asking who's your favorite child, right? I love them all. But I do love I love the Charming, which she's kind of our signature. Just like a floral garden and in a number of colors. And the periwinkle, that's really a signature color for us. The rose, pink, and the pale yellow. I mean, these are just classic. And the ivory, I don't know, there's a little polka dot in the back, which is very pretty. But personally, I'm kind of crazy about the Blanche, the Occasion, which was based on a print called Blanche many years ago. She's at least, I don't know, 30 years old. And Blanche was my mom's name. And this was Occasion, who was her partner. I love it because it layers with all the other blues. So pretty. The borders, I love the borders. We've got a pretty awesome border here. It's actually double border. Yeah, that's pretty. But I don't want to forget the baby ones, because there's a Eloise, which is just so delicate and refined. And it's like, it's out of the sketchbook, right? It's so perfect.
And my favorite part about the border stripe is that there's 4 repeats in every width of fabric.
Mhm.
So it's great for bordering quilts. And I have a big piece of it here. I'm going to hold it up so everybody can see the whole.
Well, that's pretty gorgeous, if I do say so myself. That is beautiful. I love that. And that's a gorgeous topper right there, or the borders framing the quilt.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, we're also in the apparel business, and some of these gorgeous cottons make just wonderful sundresses or porch dresses. So I know you're working on that too for some patterns, but I think that's somewhere on the porch.
Oh, yes. And I know one of the dresses that we're working on is actually using the paisley print, which I think is so beautiful. And I especially love it in the multicolor version.
Yeah, come a little closer there. It's still pretty. There you go. That's gorgeous. So I think the mix of the paisleys, the florals, the stripes, the dots, and all that is sort of I think of our brand as having a complexity, and of the designs as having a complexity with different origins, because a paisley is, of course, native to India. A floral garden, an English garden, right? It's just like, it's the whole combination, I feel, that makes everything come together.
I agree. And so we actually do have a few projects. We were talking about some apparel that we're going to make samples of. Those will be able to be seen at Quilt Market, and we'll take some great photographs of them there and share them on our social media. But we do have several projects that we created with these fabrics, and we've got a PowerPoint, and I'm just going to talk about them just for a moment. So the first one is called Petal Soft. It will be a free pattern on our website. I personally am very partial to this one because I designed it. It's a nice large size. It's 80 by 96. And you can see it's got a very soft vintage feel. But it's actually going to be very easy to put together because it'll all be done with strip sets. So that is Petal Soft. The next one plays with the blue fabrics. It's called Garden Stars. It is a paid pattern by Tiffany Hayes. And the finish size on this one is 66 by 84. The next one is called Martina by Villa Rosa Designs. Villa Rosa Designs are super simple to put together. And I love the way she picked out just the blues and just the pinks and created this Bargello effect. Again, a very simple pattern to put together, all done in strip sets. X's and O's by Lee Headington. Now this one will be shown at Quilt Market, which we're very excited, and we'll be able to see some pictures there. But this one really plays with the pinks and the greens and has that lovely cream colored wide border around the outside. And last but not least, we have Celestial Garden, designed by Joni Holton. The finish size on this is 89 by 89. And we're very excited about this because it is going to be a block of the month pattern for us. There'll be more information on our website about our block of the month program with this, but shops will be able to purchase the fabrics and put the kits together and run block of the month programs all over the country using this pattern. So those are all of the patterns that go with the April Garden Collection. You can see all of those patterns on our website, which is benartex.com. So before we move into answering some Q&As, I just wanted to give April one last chance. Was there anything else you wanted to share about the collection with us, April?
I think it's fresh, it's beautiful, it's full of joy. It's out there to make you happy, and I hope people really enjoy it. And thank you for listening and for embracing it.
Thanks, April. All right, so we're going to run through the questions real quick. We don't have too many of them. If you do have a question that you thought of during any of the presentations, if you want to just pop it in the Q&A box. Amanda, there were a couple of questions about the quilting templates and tutorials. I believe you already answered those.
I thought I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. If you have a Bernina, you can use the templates. You would use long arm templates for any Bernina, even if it was a domestic machine. That was the person's question.
All right. And you'll be doing tutorials at some point?
There will be a YouTube tutorial on all the templates, but it's not up yet. There are directions for the templates on my website, though.
Okay, great. Carol asked about the autumn quilt pattern behind me. This is called, let me get my paper. I wrote it down. It's called Hello Autumn. It's using the Autumn Breeze collection by Nancy Halverson. It will be in a book called Autumn Breeze. The book and the fabrics will all be shipping next year, but this is called Hello Autumn, and you can find more information about it and the fabric collection, Autumn Breeze, on our website. Roberta, where did I miss? The question was in the poll. So if you answered the poll, you'll be good. And then April, you have a website, correct? Is it aprilcornell.com? Oh, you're muted, April.
It's aprilcornell.com and it's .ca in Canada.
Okay, fantastic. Let's see. Who is the designer and name of the line for the quilt to my left? I'm hoping you're talking about this one. You're talking about this one. This one is Modern Mushrooms. The quilt name is Meandering Mushrooms, and that was designed, the fabric was designed by Kate Segal and Nancy Missouri, design the quilt, and this one is a free pattern available on our website. Somebody asked, can we buy pre-cuts of fabrics on the Benartex website? Benartex does not sell directly to consumers, but you can go to your local quilt shop and ask for Benartex fabrics, try to find them there. Also, many of our designers, if you don't have a local quilt shop, do sell on their websites. And I think that's all the questions we have. So I'm going to start doing my wrap up, and then I will announce the winners of our fabulous fabric prizes. So first off, I want to thank everyone for coming today. I really appreciate your time. I also appreciate all of my designers for being here and sharing about their fabric collections and projects and all the fun things that are coming up and the fun things that are available in stores right now. We hope that you've enjoyed seeing all of the fabrics and the projects, and be sure to ask at your local quilt shops for any of these fabrics and the patterns as well. Make sure you remind them that they can order through their sales rep or on our online at our website or through any of our distributors. A few announcements that we have, just some fun things coming up. If you love Benartex fabrics and you love using them, and you're interested in becoming a Benartex ambassador, our ambassador program is wrapping up for 2024, but we are looking for our 2025 ambassadors. So if you are interested in that, please go to our website, go to the ambassador page, and you can find out more information about becoming an ambassador and fill out an application there. We're also planning a very fun event in January. If you are a subscriber to our Fat Quarterly publication, you know that you get a magazine and a swatch pack of fabrics every quarter. And that magazine has several projects in it. And we're going to add something new and fun come January. We are going to do a live webinar with myself and Lisa Rubel hosting. And that live webinar is going to be all about the issue of the Fat Quarterly that you've just received. Our first guest on the webinar will be Kimberly Einmo, who designed the collection Upwards, which is featured in the next issue of the Fat Quarterly. If you're interested in finding out more information and subscribing to the Fat Quarterly, you can go to our website, go to the Fat Quarterly page and read all about it and subscribe. So let me look here and see. Congratulations to our winners, Carol Kiko and Patricia Hashimoto. And I want to thank everyone. Oh, and also Natalie Larson and Maria Yurton. All four of you have won a fat quarter, or not a fat quarter, a pre-cut bundle of one of the collections that you saw here today. So thanks again, everyone, for coming. Thank you again to all of my presenters today, my fabric designer friends. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. I'll give you one last chance to say goodbye to everybody, and then we'll wrap up. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Bye. Thank you.